Alright, hello, this is Josh for Logic Chronicles, and time to continue with the quest system. Alright, so, there's some things that we're going to have to do. I'm actually going to delete this right here. I was supposed to delete it before. Alright, recorded this, realized I didn't like the video, and then I'm re-recording it. So that's what's going on. What we're going to do is we're going to spend this video basically just making some things that we can use to actually test the quest system, to see, make sure everything's working properly. And then after this, we'll actually make a test quest. Alright? First things first, you're going to want to do some sort of interface of some sort. What I'm doing is I'm doing an interface just to kind of interact with the world, to actually let the character know that I'm actually trying to activate that character, or like basically, you know, when you click A, or you click on like A on your Xbox or whatever, or E on a keyboard, that you actually interact with it and you try to activate it or whatever. So all I'm using is just as interfaced, just the actor that's using it, and then the hit location is all I'm doing with this. That's all it is. That way, when we send this message, we can say, okay, here's the player that's trying to open the door, or that's trying to do whatever it is they're trying to do. All right, so we're gonna need that. Now, after you have that, you want to make just a dummy actor. That's what I did. Just basic actor. Come here, throw down a sphere, and then what I did was I had a display name for it, had it instance editable, and just so you can tell them apart on the construction script, take the sphere, set the material, and then have that be parameter, and then let that be editable. That's all that. Okay? So the next thing I'm doing is, when I'm actually calling this event, or this interface, first I'm gonna do is I'm just spawning a particle system at the location of the actor. That way it just looks cool, so it looks like, boom, he exploded, it looks like he died, it looks epic, makes me feel kind of cool, like I'm actually doing something useful, you know? And then originally what I did was I played the sound, but that's kind of annoying, so I took the sound out, and just kind of went through. The next thing is we gotta talk about where you're gonna place the game mode. Now, you could just you could just come here and say get all actors of class, and then look for the manager. See, I have a couple managers of different things I'm working on, but the quest manager, you could just do this, and then get the index 0. That'll work, but you don't really want that for your game, because that, like, even still, hold on, let me get all actors of classic. I'm pretty sure, like it says here, do not use this every frame. This is a slow operation, all this and that. Like, you don't really want to use this. It's not the best optimizing thing to do, the most optimal way to do it. So what I'm doing is I made a game mode, right? And in this game mode, or I made the game mode, I'm casting to it. And what I'm doing in the game mode is I'm basically saving that as a variable. I'm spawning the quest manager into the world, and I'm saving it as a variable so I can reference it everywhere else. Okay? So in my game mode, however you're gonna have to decide how you want to do this or go about this. Depends on what you're doing. But in my game mode, I got a bunch of stuff going on here. But in essence, there's begin play, and then off this begin play, we're spawning the game mode. I'm just setting in some random location, and then saving it as a variable. And then normally, if you'd actually got this from a save file, you would throw in the quest data right here. That way, or just make, like if you see right here, just make this. I have all the information to actually make the quests. If I come here, you know, I got all this information now. You would want to just shove this data into that when it's exposed on spawn. That way, the quest has that information, or the quest manager has that information, so it can start spawning in quest. But for this is fine. You can just leave that you can leave that blank. So just remember to actually input this, right? And then make sure you have this set as a variable. Again, you could do this wherever. I'm doing this in the game mode. That way, it's easily accessible by this this function right here. And what I'm doing is I'm taking the quest manager, and then I'm going to send it a message that the actor is taking damage. So once we hit this actor, It's going to do a nice particle effect. It's going to get the game mode and tell the game mode that this actor has taken damage. I just put an arbitrary number here. There's really no reason to. I mean, if I really want to, I'll just come here and say health. And we'll throw this as a variable like that. And we'll set this to make this be all nice and proper. We'll throw this right here. And the amount we're going to subtract, or we'll set this after this. Whoa. Yeah, all this needs to be down here. What happens when I get ideas? Anyway, so we'll get this. The amount of health. We'll subtract this. We'll subtract. I don't know. We'll start off with 10 health. And we'll say 1. Yeah, let's just leave that with 1. I'll throw that in there. I'm gonna set this. I'm gonna set it to whatever the new amount is. I have a branch. Say. I'm gonna say, is this less than or equal to 1? If that's true, then it's dead. Alright, and if it did die, then I'm gonna come over here, spawn the particle system, delay some really small amount of time, just enough so that when the actors are actually, when the not the actors, the quest manager is going through, there's no problem, because if you just delete it right away, then it might become null later on when some of the other quests or some of the other blueprints try to reference it and try to use it. It might just come up null and you won't have a problem. So just a small little delay. That way, the other anything else that needs to know this thing died has just enough set time to actually like get the information out of here before it deletes itself. So we got that. So that way it just comes here, gets game manager, tells them this actor's taking damage, checks if it should spawn some cool stuff, and then destroy itself. So that way if I come here now, if I take some of these and just place them out in the world, I just set the names different so I can reference them later. You'll see how that's important when we actually build these quests. Now if I hit this, if I go 1, it destroyed it right off the bat. So let me check the health on this to make sure I actually set that right. Oh, that's got to be on a true. That's why. So now if I come here, if I go over to this thing, I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. If I just keep hitting that, you see it starts destroying it. Takes a couple hits, but... And I should actually show you how I'm doing that right there. Sorry, I forgot about that. Whatever character you're using, you want to have an event of some sort. Some sort of activate event, like, for instance, you walk over a door, you press E, or you press the A button on an Xbox controller, whatever it is. You have that input event. And then you want to do some sort of camera trace. My camera trace is kind of complicated because I have it switching between first and third person. But in essence, it's just I'm using a sphere trace, actually, not a line trace, a sphere trace. But in essence, you want to get the return, and then break the hit. And then just have whatever actor was hit. This is stuff from my inventory system that's not posted while I'm recording this, but you have this, right? You just want to send that message saying that you're trying to use it, or whatever you're going to name this interface event. So you're just going to throw that straight through and say, okay, the actor that's trying to use it is the character that you're actually controlling, and then this hit location just kind of goes through. All right. That would just go in there. For my sphere trace itself, what I'm doing is I have two cameras. I have a third-person camera and I have a first-person camera. I'm just checking which one is active. All right. Checking which one's active. First things first, is third-person camera active. It's true. I'm going to set that to a temporary camera variable right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the spring arm, and I'm going to offset it. I'm setting an offset. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking the if it's not active, then I'm taking the first person camera and setting the offset to 1. So then from here, it's kind of a simple normal way to do like a sphere trace here. Taking the world location of whichever camera it is, we don't care. And then what I'm doing is, the first thing I'm doing is I'm multiplying the offset by this. So in this case, it's the spring arm. So that way, the whole point is, you'll see this when I actually demonstrate it, but this offset is, say the spring arm is going from this location to that location, right? What I want to do is, if your character's here, and I want to get that, instead of going from all the way back here to this distance right here, what I'm just going to cut that in half and try to get right in the middle and go from there to there. That way, when you're in first person or third person, the distance between the object you're trying to activate and the camera is always the same. There's no difference between that. That's all I'm doing with the offset. So I'm just throwing it. If you want a normal line trace, or a sphere trace, just throw this straight into there, and then take the forward vector. And again, for mine, I'm just multiplying it and then adding it to that to get the offset. But either way, down here, right? If you want a normal one, just ignore that and throw this right in here. But you get the forward vector, times it by some sort of reach, which is like, out in front of the camera's view. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add it to the world's location, and then that's the endpoint. And yeah, that's the endpoint. And then you just throw those through. The only other thing that you might want to make sure of is that under the collisions, if it's not already, block all dynamic. Make sure that these are actually blocked, that the visible is blocked under the dummy's sphere mesh. Now, go to my character. So that's that. So that way, that's just the sphere trace. And then over here, just a branch again. And then if it hit, you want to send over that message so that this actor actually knows he's been hit. So now, just to show you that line trace that I'm talking about, like if you see my camera, let me actually put the debugs on for this line trace. For duration fine is 5. It's fine with 5. So if I hit that, you see how right there, it's not actually from the forward point of the camera. If I look there, if I actually eject, it's not quite from the forward position of the camera. But if I go into first person, if I go over here, if I eject quick enough, you see how they're almost exact same length. If I can give a little more time with that, so let's say 10. So if I come here, eject, how they're about the same right there. Yeah, hopefully you saw that. But they're about the same length. That's all it's doing, just to make it a little more, a little easier, just so I don't have to adjust for that distance. Because I've gotten a problem where, like, what if like a character is walking off to the side of you and comes up from behind? The camera would be right in the way, and that's a little problematic because then you're not actually like trying to activate whatever you're actually looking at out in front. So it's just a little problem. It's just something to think about. Now the second thing we gotta do is that covers this guy. All right. The next thing we want to do is probably make a door. And what I'm doing is for the door. Oh, is it still? Why is this? There we go. For the door, I've got a lot of different things going on. I have a whole lock picking minigame and all this and that. But basically, you take your interface, right? And off your interface, you come over here. Just pretend this is the interface, because I've needed to do some things to check if the door's locked and all this and that, but that's just all that. Alright, so the interface would come in here. You have this status right here, or this state, and we'll say, okay, is it open or closed, true or false? As soon as you activate it, what you're going to want to do is you want to switch it. If it's on, you want it off. If it's off, you want it on. So just take whatever it is, just put a not on it, which will reverse the condition, and just set the variable to that, so now it just swaps it. Now what I'm doing is this little function right here. I'm sending in the actor that actually trying to use the door, or in this case with this interface that I was talking about, is the actor using. So the actor's, whatever the actor is using is taking the game mode, casting to it, getting the quest manager, and then sending him this message that sending the quest master that this actor right here is trying to use this door, and right now, is it open or closed? and that's what it's passing through right there. Now after that, I'm taking the door mesh. One thing this you might want to know is this is from the starter content, but just know you want to make sure the pivot is actually at the end of the door right here, not necessarily in the middle. All right, but as you go through, you're gonna take the door mesh. You're gonna have a component move to, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the door status or door state, and you're gonna convert it to an int. And all this is gonna do is either if it's true, it's gonna return 1. If it's false, it's gonna return 0. And then we're multiplying that by 90. So that way it's it's either fully open or fully closed, and then it'll rotate it accordingly. And then I have this time just to kind of say, okay, how long should the door take to open or closed? That's all I'm doing there. That's for the most part what you need. Just remember that this right here is a going to be the interface event, not some custom custom event. So that's all that. Now after that, what you should get is over here with this door, minus all the arrows. Don't worry about the arrow right there, but if I come over here to this door, if I come over here, see, it opens it, now it's closed. That's what we kind of want. I'm going to turn off these debugs. Alright. Okay. Doors open, doors closed. Okay. So those are the two things we're going to be kind of working with. Now what I guess we'll start the process of making a quest. Probably just going to set it up so that it exists, per se. So what I'll do is come over here to the quest. I'm going to come over here to the quest, base quest, make a child of it. Call this tutorial test _ quest. Save it. I'm just going to bring this out to the main folder of the quest system right now, just so it's somewhere like kind of centered or like easily accessible, so I don't have to go in here. The only other thing is in the game manager. What I'm gonna do to make so we can actually tell that this is working, I'm gonna come over here to this quest info. Put the ID and put this as 1. Put that as 1. I'm gonna set this to active, and I'm gonna set this to the test quest act that we have. The whole point of this is just so that we can actually test it to verify that this part is working, that it actually spawns it into the world. So I'm gonna take this length. I'm going to take the spawn quest, or spawned quest, whatever, and take the length. I'm going to print that. So it comes in here, and I'm going to put the color in, say red. That way we actually know, like, we actually see it, that it verifies that it spawned into the world. And you see that red 1 right up in the top hand corner? There's one quest that's out in the world. So that's all nice. That quest has been spawned. The next thing we want to do is just test to make sure that the message system is working. If I come over to this test quest, now if I come over here and say status, now what I want to do is say print. Append. I'm just going to throw a couple things in here. I'm going to take the test, the act that's checking. I'm going to take the status, the door. Hopefully you should get the character, the door, and then I'm just going to say the status, is it on or off. And underneath that, I'm going to say take damage, and then print, and then append. Okay. I'm just going to throw a couple of these down again. I'm going to say the actor taking the damage, the actor giving the damage. I'm going to have a space between those two. I'm going to get the amount, the space between those two. I'm going to have another space, and then is it dead? So hopefully if everything works out, we should just see these printing out each time we activate these things that we've created out in the world. So if I come over here, the door is, the character opened the door, and the door is false, the door is true, and that means It's closed. It's open. Now if I come over to one of these, see how it's taking damage each time I hit the button. And that one didn't register yet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, that means that over here it's not working. Come over to the dummy. I will say less than or equal to. Say less than 1. Let's try this, make sure that works. Guess what I'll do is I'll just set this here. I'm gonna set that, and say is this less than 1. Set. Oh, that's another thing too. I'm gonna throw that in there. That one there. There we go. Now those are working. So that's that. So now we have those set up. What we'll do is we'll just make a simple little quest. And what I guess we'll do is we'll just say, alright, the whole idea for the quest is, alright, you gotta go kill this bad guy, and you gotta come over here to your safe house, which is over here. And then after you get out, you go to your safe house, you gotta leave, you gotta go kill this bad guy, and then go back to your safe house. That'll be the whole quest. Alright? So that'll be this video. See you next time.